I can help you guys. Let me tell you a story. There once was this beautiful man. His name was Noah. And Noah would sit and build this big, huge boat. And while he was building this big, huge boat, he would tell people, you can't do bad. You know God's going to get you. And boy, they couldn't hate and talk shit against Noah enough. And Noah would say what God said to say. Well, I'm Noah, but I know that you don't have a right to murder or hurt people, be violent, aggressive, bad against God. And you know, bad things come to bad people. They could not be mean and hate Noah enough. Okay, so this might be why preachers always say what people want to hear. Not only just to get money. You know they do it to get money, but they might be afraid to say certain things too. And then this little Noah would sit there and say, I'm just Noah. I'm building a boat because God told me to. And I keep telling you guys that bad things are going to happen. I just want you guys to kind of think about that. Of course, fuck you, Noah. Stupid Noah. Crazy Noah. Fuck you, Noah. Then, one day, there was water. Oh, whatever. It's raining. Still fuck you to Noah. I doubt that boat's gonna matter. Then, it never stopped raining for like... How long did it rain? I think it rained about 6.5 months straight. So it rained about 6.5 months straight before they looked at Noah's direction and said, what the fuck ever. Whatever, God, we're bad people, so we're working ourselves, whatever, fuck you. Then, they were sleeping on their beds. And a lot died sleeping on their beds. And a lot realized there was water right under their beds or near their beds or covering their beds. Then it was getting a little scary. But they still said, whatever, God just wants to scare us. Fuck it. Then, as they walked around, so they figured out how to sleep, like in the loft, in a higher place on the house, and didn't give a shit. Then, as they walked around, there was water up their knees, getting towards their waist. So then they flocked to that damn boat. All right, Noah, we're going to knock on the boat. And what the hell do you and God want to hear? But it was too late. Their fuck you to God is what they're going to hear, and the answer forever. So they banged and banged on that boat. Didn't nobody answer or care. Then at some point they were sleeping on top of the trees. And they knew they were dead and God hated them. And they shouldn't have done 5 billion things they didn't think they should have done in the first place. And they knew they were dead for 1 billion things they knew they shouldn't have done the whole time anyway. And they sat on the top of trees, knowing that pretty soon you can't swim forever. And even if you could put some kind of wood or something on the water, because they were trying to make wood rafts or weird wood pieces they could just float on, the gods and God, the Father of Jesus, made the water so scary and tumultuous, it always destroyed whatever raft or fuck you, little I'm gonna create a way to live no matter what I've done, fuck you, God, thing they were trying to build. So the water was so scary, they never, ever, ever had an actual way to prove how they'd ever live or get away with anything. Then God's made their death unrealistically horrifying. And that's the ending of really bad people who should never do anything against God. Which is why I always teach you to stay with my queen, my queen, my queen. Stay with God's. Make sure you're doing good. You're good with God's. And don't ever look outside at the 666. It's scary. Then there was this place called Sodom and Gomorrah. They learned how to rape an angel. So they loved hanging out with the devil. And the devil taught them how they could hurt ghosts. So they figured out how to do something mean to just kind of Well, okay. When you're in a haunted house and a demon is slicing your insides, it feels like something's kind of cutting into your organs or something. It feels weird and creepy, like something's slicing into you. They're spiritually slicing into you. And at some point, it will cause medical issues within your human body, which is what happens with haunted houses a lot. So they learned how to slice the dead and got really gross and sickening with the devil and figured out how to rape an angel. They made it to raping 3 angels, and then they were set for death. They had nothing good to ever say to that man that made it out of Sodom and Gomorrah where nobody else did. So they said nothing good and only bad, mean things to that guy. In the end, his wife looked back at raping angels and turned into acid salt in death forever as a punishment. And Sodom and Gomorrah got stuck, spiritually stuck, like stuck in a spiritual bubble. And little volcanic, when a volcano erupts, that weird hot stuff that turns black, there was these little raindrops of that weird hot stuff that turns black. And it was full of flames. And all those little tiny raindrops full of flames just kept raining and raining and raining and raining down at Sodom and Gomorrah. And after a while, half their house was burned down. After a while, they had all these weird holes everywhere from that volcanic, scary, hot stuff filled with fire hitting them every which way when they would try to sleep and stuff. And the gods made sure, of course, they died the most slow, unrealistic, horrifying death ever known. What do you think happens when it's a dead god and they wouldn't get off the dead god for a fuck you second? Yeah. So stay close to my queen, my queen, my queen. Stay good and be good people. Make sure you live on with good gods, and it doesn't really matter what bad people do. And then sadly, there's not a good ending for bad people, and nobody ever thinks there is. But those stories might help you, because everyone says fuck you to the face of God. It's not just on a Titanic movie. The real Titanic people did say fuck you, God can't even sink this ship. And they were full of themselves. They knew that the boat was made by gods to be so invincibly, beautifully, impossibly wonderful. But it went to their heads, and they wanted to think that they were God. And God is nobody and can't even sink a ship this good and built this great. Wow, isn't that probably stupid, huh? You know, in every walk of life, there's somebody who's just gonna do it. And don't feel bad. Everybody hated Jesus that was gonna die, and they weren't gonna do anything else. And even in the days of Jesus, there was homeless people everywhere during the days of Jesus. Poverty was a very third world country, scary, sad thing during the days of Jesus. And they still never treated the homeless nearly as bad as they treated Jesus. You know, you're always going to have the ones that loved and worshiped Jesus, no matter what he seemed like, and the ones that hated him and wanted him to seem like a crazy or poor loser nothing, and had made deals with the devil so he didn't have a home or a church, so he looked like a poor loser nothing. And everybody would worship the government or the churches and where there's money and fame and die. It's what the devil does. It's what Antichrist reality is. It's just those who cannot hate the reality of heaven enough, or go against and destroy and abuse the reality of heaven enough. And it's just part of the world. It's part of the end of the world. It's part of where people end up for what they do and what they deserve. And you can't change it. Hopefully that helps you guys.